Good morning. For those of you who think that Eric Brant can do no wrong and that he is only wrongfully arrested and wrongfully charged, this might come as a shock to you, but Eric Brant, by his own admission, was found guilty on all charges for a disorderly conduct charge at least, maybe something else, maybe threats. It stemmed from apparently this incident. The elephant is now on the trapeze, where he berated this young lady, just yelled at her at the top of his lungs. And I think that was just shameful of him. I wish that her father or her brother or her husband or her boyfriend was there to rearrange Eric's teeth appropriately for his shameful display of just lack of control. Anyway, that being said, he was convicted. The jury did not endorse flagrant public corruption. The state was not on trial. There was no evidence brought to the jury about the state's public corruption. The issue at hand was Eric's behavior, and the effect of that behavior on the people around him. Eric was on trial. And this whole, I'm rubber, you're glue bullshit that this community likes to do is nonsense. When Eric is on trial, the government is proving that Eric did bad things. A defense for Eric doing bad things is not, but the government isn't showing both sides of this form. The defense for that is, I didn't do this, or there is some legally recognized justification for it, i.e. self-defense or something along those lines. But just to say that, there's public corruption, and so I'm justified in losing control of my emotions and berating some poor government employee who had nothing to do with it, is just unconscionable. And Eric is a bad person and should feel bad for it. Eric is also uneducated, not only legally, but he is uneducated about history. He says that never in history has it ever been shown that not killing the government is somehow going to keep them in check. He might want to revisit Mahatma Gandhi. He might want to revisit Martin Luther King Jr. Numerous court cases. It was court cases that extended the Bill of Rights to the states. It was court cases that extended protections to citizens of states, protections that were initially put in place against the federal government. So the only violent uprising that has ever even come close to changing the political landscape is the Civil War. It was a huge failure for the people who bore arms against the federal government. It is not an effective means. Militias typically fare poorly. I know Earl David Warden is allegedly going to start a 100,000 strong militia. I wish him the best of luck. I think he will fail utterly at that, as he has done with everything else in his life. And militias just are a bad idea. They have a bad look in the public's eye, and they are ineffective in getting change on a violent level. They may be effective at getting change through politics or through the courts, and politics and courts should be kept separate, but they're not effective for violent change. Now, Eric's big issue is this form right here. This is the application for public defender, court-appointed counsel, or guardian ad litem. You'll notice that it asks for your gross monthly income, and it says to see definitions on reverse for further information. Now, it lists your salary, wages, and commission, your spouse, partner, or other household members, parents if in the same household, what theirs would be, your unemployment benefits, your Social Security/retirement funds, maintenance, i.e. spousal or partner support, that'd be alimony, other income, see page 2, other income, see page 2. Now, on page 2, which Eric is furious that they don't include, this is just an information page. There is nothing to fill out. It doesn't need to be turned in with the page 1. So as long as they give you the information, it doesn't have to be written, but as long as they give you the information, you should be able to fill out page 1 just fine. It says to not include income categories, i.e. don't include in here TANF payments, food stamps, subsidized housing assistance, veterans benefits earned from a disability, child support payments, or other public assistance programs. Now, why don't they include those? Well, in order to qualify for TANF payments, food stamps, subsidized housing assistance, you have to be below a certain income threshold. Veterans benefits earned from a disability, well, the federal government says that nobody can get to those. Those belong to the veteran. They are, you can't get those in a divorce. You can't get those. And the federal government, because it is paying those benefits, it is a federal issue. The federal government can regulate who can have access to those, etc. And the federal government can tell Colorado that they can't. So there you go. Child support payments, can't get those because child support payments are looked at as basically the property of the child. They're there for taking care of the child. They're not there for mom or dad to spend on cocaine and hookers or whatever they're going to spend it on, or other public assistance programs. And public assistance programs would, again, be need-based, i.e. they would be based on the amount of money that you make. So those aren't supposed to be considered here as income. Now, Eric is really mad because they're asking for proof of household income. Examples of proof of household income include pay stubs. Pay stubs would prove how much household income there is. A Medicaid card. A Medicaid card, this sign is saying would prove household income. This sign isn't saying that Medicaid cards are income, nor is it saying that Medicaid cards will be put into the income column. Oh, I've made one Medicaid card this year. Woo! That's income. I've earned one Medicaid card. No, they're looking for proof of household income. Why would you look at a Medicaid card for proof of household income? Well, let's start back here. This is the guideline. This is let me see if I could remember here. I'm on page 10. This is the directive. This is the policy on how to determine whether or not somebody qualifies for a public defender. And page 10 of this document, which I will link to all this stuff in the description, shows the standards. People, first of all, are judged on income guidelines. If you get 150 points, 150 or greater, you're eligible for a public defender. So that's what these points are down here. These are telling you how many points you'll get for qualifying in any of these categories. So it looks at income guidelines, and again, it says it shall not include TANF payments, food stamps, subsidized housing assistance, etc. If you're at or below guidelines, you get 150 points. If you're up to 10% above guidelines, you get 100 points. If you're 11% to 75% above guidelines, you get 0 points, and you're not eligible if your income is more than 75% above guidelines. Well, in order for that to make sense, you have to understand what guidelines are, and that's where attachment B comes in. The yearly federal poverty guideline is $12,000 or $12,490 per year for a single person. That works out to be $1,041 per month for a single person. Now, the base guideline that the Colorado Department of Health and Human Services chose was 125% of the poverty level. So $1,041 times 1.25 will give you $1,301. So if you're a single person like Eric Brant, and you have a monthly income of $1,301, you get 150 points. You almost automatically qualify for a public defender. If your monthly income is 10% above that, it'd be $1,431, and you'd be in this column. You'd have 100 points. You would be close to a public defender. if your monthly income is between $1,431 up to $2,277, you are in this 11 to 75% range. You get 0 points, but you're eligible to continue on through this chart in an effort to get more points. And if you want to break it down by year, these are the same numbers. These are the monthly numbers just converted into yearly income. So that is the income guidelines that they're using. That is what you'd be putting in these categories, and you would total it up to get these numbers right here. Now, again, Medicaid cards aren't income. So why would they be looking at that? Well, if you look at Medicaid, a non-elderly adult can make 138% of the federal poverty limit for non-elderly adults and still qualify for Medicaid. So if you are a single person, a non-elderly adult, and you have a Medicaid card, you are guaranteed to be at least in this category. Well, you'll at least be under the 75% line, because $1,000 a month, 38%. Above that would be about $1,400 a month. You should be right in this range or less. So why would they ask for a Medicaid card? Well, because it proves that you are in this category or less. You're at the monthly income plus 10% or less, generally speaking. And they could also get with the Colorado Medicaid, whoever administers that, to determine how they arrived at your income. Why would they ask for a food stamps card or a TANF? Well, food stamps, again, your maximum income level per year is $16,000 for a single person. $16,000 on this chart would put you right there under the income plus 10% column. So it's prima facie evidence that you qualify for this public defender. What about TANF? TANF. That would be this one. You have to meet federal, state, and county resource and income standards. It is, again, evidence that you qualify for a public defender. Nowhere on this is it stating that these are going to be considered household income. This is just proof of household income. If you have a Medicaid card, it is proof that your income is lower than the maximums allowable for a public defender. Now, it is dumb of Eric to yell at that gal, because there's two things that happen. Number one is this application for a public defender goes to the public defender's office. The public defender's office makes a determination. If the public defender's office doesn't believe that you qualify, then it goes to a judge, and the judge would have to review it. If you don't have, so it's dumb for him to yell at the clerk. The clerk had nothing to do with it. If you don't have proof of your income guidelines, of your income, then the court can't make a determination. However, there is nothing to suggest that you walking in and saying, I don't make any money, or I panhandle and I only make $500 a month, or whatever it is. There is no reason that can't be proof. Testimony is considered proof. Now, what they want is something that is a little more substantial. So they're asking for you to bring these documents. These are tangible things that they could look at, as opposed to just having you come in and say, I don't make money. Now, Genius Eric, apparently, when he filled out this card, according to this young lady here, stated that he was employed as a YouTuber. And Eric goes on to say, well, how am I supposed to bring examples or proof of my income If I'm panhandling, am I supposed to just ask people to sign receipts or something like that? Or however Eric yelled it out, it was something along those lines. Well, Eric, the government isn't as stupid as you are. If somebody is a YouTuber and they are doing that as their means of employment, they have a bank account. They have a bank account and they get some sort of a tax statement from YouTube at the end of the year. Additionally, I know Eric has a bank account because Eric has a PayPal. And if somebody is receiving PayPal, they have a bank account. And guess what, Eric? You could bring in a bank account statement as proof of your household income. A bank account statement would be something that you could show them and say, look, this is how much money I received from YouTube. This is how much money I received from PayPal. And so I know Eric is upset that he was convicted, but when you act like a complete asshat and you berate a young lady and you use threatening language and threatening gesticulations, then you may be convicted of disorderly conduct and threats. You just may be. So be careful. Remember that the First Amendment does not provide exceptions for fighting words, i.e. words that tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. And it doesn't have to be just the words. It could be the circumstances surrounding it, like an irate 220-pound homeless dude yelling and screaming and gesticulating at the top of his lungs to a young lady. That might be considered fighting words. Additionally, threats are not protected by the First Amendment. So be careful, be cautious, mind your words. Don't say threats. Don't cause disturbances. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.